I was recently advising my final year students who are starting to write up their dissertation. How do you get great marks? The most important thing is, of course, to do great work. The computer science final year undergraduate projects that get excellent marks are always very good projects. They accomplish a non-trivial task in an elegant way and they improve in some way on the current state of the art. At undergraduate level, you're not expected to do research. However, you must demonstrate that you acquired solid software engineering skills and that you are able to apply them to solve a problem to professional quality standard. Now, taking as a given that you did a great piece of work, and I'm not going to cover that, how to do that in this video, the other important thing that you need to do is to learn how to get the credit you deserve for it. And that's going to be useful outside of university too, because there's plenty of good work that goes unrecognized, unfortunately. I don't want it to be your case. So you must present it well. You must explain it clearly. You must write not merely so that it is possible to understand you, but rather so that it is impossible to misunderstand you. And realize that this double negation brings us back where we started, but the two are not at all equivalent, and the second is a much higher bar than the first. Write with your audience in mind. For an undergraduate dissertation, who's the audience? Your audience is, to be honest, primarily the two examiners who are contractually required to read your whole thing, because realistically speaking, very few other people in the world will read it. Unless it is so fantastic that you then turn it into a successful book, which does not happen very often. So, put yourself in the mind of those two examiners, who may not be experts in your field. Make it easy for the examiners to give you a good mark. If I am an examiner for your dissertation, when I see good work, I want to give you a good mark. I'm not an evil person. So, help me do that. Give me ammunition towards that. If you do something great, then politely highlight that you did and say why it's great. At the start of the chapter, prime me so that I will know what to pay attention to. You must say, in this chapter, I'm going to tell you how I did X. And your hint must be, X is difficult, so if you see me actually doing X, you must admit it's great, right? Okay, then in the body of the chapter, you describe how you did X, and you say, this thing I built goes 3 times faster than Y, which is the most commonly deployed functional equivalent of my X. And at the end of the chapter, say it again. In this chapter, I did the following great things. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, and I made this thing go 3 times faster than the state of the art. And your hint there is, that must be worth some high marks, right? And then I, as examiner, will say to myself, oh, yeah, I read this earlier, a few pages ago. There are plenty of valid reasons for giving this person a high mark for this chapter. Yeah, okay. So don't make me have to think too hard about where the good things are. Because I have to read 30, 40, 50 dissertations in a short time. So don't force me to remember what you said on page 12 and have me connect the dots with what you said on page 34 and 41 before I can see that this was actually great. Maybe I will connect the dots. Maybe not. Why don't you just help me out? Tell me it's great on page 12, then remind me on page 41 when you pull it all together. And of course, there are ways of dropping those hints that will sound arrogant and boastful, and they are unlikely to do you much good. But if you're the type of person who genuinely deserves a first, then I trust you're smart enough to figure that one out. And this sandwich technique I mentioned of making every important point 3 times is really useful when writing and presenting. Before you start, tell me what you're going to do and why, so that I will pay attention to the right things. Then, while you do it, explain clearly what you're doing, what was hard about the problem, and what was clever about your solution. And then at the end, when you close the chapter, remind me of what's significant about what you did. Don't leave it to me to pick up the pieces and figure it all out by myself. So, in summary, first of all, do great work. Second, present it so that it's easy to understand. And third, make it easy for the examiner to give you good marks. Assume that I, examiner, will be happy to give you good marks if I see good work. And hand me on a silver platter all the reasons why you deserve good marks. Do all this and for sure you will enjoy the outcome. Stick a thumbs up on the video and say seashell, because I always love to hear from people who were here until the end. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.